Welcome back to One More Mana. Today we got a little something extra special. We're doing a joint deck tech with me and none other than Sed to take a look at a Superman deck that we've kind of as a group been working on putting together. So Sed, who do you think and what card could represent Superman better than any other legendary creature out there?
Well, there were a lot of tough contenders out there, and I was really pleasant to see that a lot of people weren't choosing the same thing when it came to this this little contest that was going on here. So I wanted to think outside the box, and right out of the gate, first thing that came to my mind was Chroma. Now, Chroma is a 5-color WUBRG commander, and it just has so many abilities on the card. It should be 5 abilities. And so 5 abilities, I'm like, that's pretty OP. That's pretty broken. So that was the first thing that made me think about Superman.
And I mean, Superman is an alien, and that was my first thought too. Was despite the fact that Superman's very humanoid,
Yeah.
Superman is an alien, and Chroma is about as alien-looking as you could possibly find in whatever is supposed to be going on in that picture. This is the manifestation of what Superman is, and yeah, it can do a little bit of just about anything. I think if you quiz 100 very knowledgeable EDH players, I don't think any of them will be able to tell you every one of Chromat's abilities and what the costs are, because there's just a lot going on.
Exactly. And I looked at some of those abilities, and I was like, yeah, that's Superman. We can break down those abilities right now if you want to.
For sure, yeah, let's go basically ability by ability and see how it kind of relates to Superman to bring the flavor to this deck. And we're going to do a little bit of this throughout all the categories, looking at flavor and function, with obviously a little bit of extra emphasis on flavor for this one. But for that first ability, all you got to do is pay Orzhov 1 white, 1 black to destroy target creature blocking or blocked by Chroma.
That's the Man of Steel all day, baby.
Yeah. This just saying, don't mess with Superman. If you get in his way, it's gonna go poorly for you. Don't get in his way and don't come at him because it's not gonna end well.
He's running straight through. And then we also have, if you pay Izzet, the blue and the red, Chromat gains flying, and of course Superman is known for flying, right?
That is just too perfect to be able to just throw that on. Just throw the flying on. Give Superman that ability to fly is great. And then you can also pay Golgari to go ahead and regenerate Chromat.
Yep.
And I mean,
Superman is known for his super healing.
Yeah, and Chromat embodies that as well. Then you can jump over to Boros, and you know what? It's just so fitting that Boros gives you the least exciting ability on the card. But with Boros, you can pump it by +1/+1, and Superman continues to get stronger, so that makes sense there.
Yep, that's right. And then Simic is there.
Finally, something involving Simic isn't overpowered. It's a miracle. It's a complete. This card was printed a million years ago because Simic ability is underpowered. But yeah, you can put it on top of its owner's library, so you can have it tuck itself. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
It's useful evasion. It's useful evasion.
Yeah, and as we know, Superman can be pretty evasive as well. So we got a little bit of that flavor throughout the card. And now we want to go into categories, kind of like a normal deck tech, but take a look at beyond just what it's doing for the deck, how it's adding to this story that we're trying to tell with this Superman deck. So like we will for everything, we want to take a start with the creatures and take a look at the creatures in this deck. Sed, what are your favorite creatures that help us tell this whole Superman story?
So the creatures that I want to look at first are the ones that could also represent Superman, maybe at different stages of his life, but also, still kind of add to that flavor of things that they could have possibly been the commander of this deck. But since we're doing 5-color, I was like, heck, let's just throw them all in. So Haktos the Unscarred was one of the first ones that came to my mind as well. And Haktos is basically just an Achilles ripoff, an Achilles motif. But when we talk about Greek gods and whatnot, you got to talk about Superman as well. Superman is just another version of a Greek god.
Yeah, it's funny so much of whether it's DC or Marvel, how they do pick from kind of real life mythology. And you're right. That's basically Superman is just like the embodiment of all the most powerful Greek and other gods and all other cultures they decided to throw into this just overpowered character.
Yeah, and I will correct myself. Demigod. Superman's.
Okay.
Achilles is technically a demigod and whatnot, and Superman can be kind of considered a demigod. He's not a god just yet. But yeah, Haktos was my first one. Next one I want to talk about is Golos Tireless Pilgrim. Now you might be looking at Golos and think, how does that work? So Golos is a scout. That's the creature type, and Superman is known for being the Boy Scout. So it works.
That's next level flavor. That is next level getting into creature types for the flavor. Okay.
And there's one more thing. And so for the comic book heads out there, Superman did take a walk across the country. That was a book. He wanted to learn, more about civilization itself instead of flying amongst the people and being over them and kind of being seen as a god. He wanted to walk among the people. So he actually took a journey, took a trek across the country. So just a little something else.
Got layers and layers. I'm loving the flavor right now. And then are there any other creatures that really do jump out to you for kind of how they add to that story?
We gotta throw Sun Titan in here. All right. I don't know if we're gonna hit the 3 CMC or less requirement for the way that his ability works, but Sun Titan, come on, it's Superman all day. He absorbs the sun. He's a Titan in himself. That's where he gets his power from. Sun Titan just embodies a Superman.
I like it. I will say my own personal input. I think my favorite creature to just embody what I see as Superman is going to be the inclusion of Avacyn. Which you had mentioned kind of is Supergirl, so like she is also a character in there. But my thing with Superman was he's just so powerful that I feel like so many of the interesting storylines are just him like underachieving. When in fact he should just be able to do whatever he wants because he's like the most powerful thing. And that's how I feel when most people play Avacyn against me. That they could probably just play like a land destruction spell and immediately win, but they just hold back to make it an interesting game. And I feel like Avacyn kind of encompasses that. I think Superman's sandbagging it a little bit to make for some more exciting stories because I think otherwise he would kind of just blow everybody up.
Yeah, and the reason we did add Avacyn to this list as the Supergirl kind of motif as well is because there is some type of lore out there that says that Supergirl is more powerful than Superman. But that it's not always showcased, but there is some lore out there that says otherwise.
And Avacyn would be the perfect embodiment of that because there's never a time where I see they hit the table and I feel prepared to deal with it. Even when I have a Chaos Corp in hand, I'm still scared. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to the enchantments and take a look at some of the ones that best represent Superman's basically unending strength and add more to this story that we're trying to tell.
Yeah, definitely. And so one of the first ones that I want to bring to mind is indestructibility. So this is an enchantment.
I wonder what that does.
Basically, it just says enchant permanent and it becomes indestructible.
It's pretty straightforward and pretty accurate because all the things Chroma does, it's not indestructible. So adding that on does add that level of flavor to it.
Yeah, that's true. And so there was a cycle of Lorwyn aura enchantments that I think maybe we can just throw them all up on the screen. The ones that fit into this deck. So I mean, you have like the runes of the Deus. You have favor of the Overbeing, fist of the demigod. All of these auras can actually fit into this deck because one, they're all referencing some type of higher being, some type of god figure. And then they also give extra abilities based on the color of that creature. Lucky for us, Chromat fits all of these categories.
The benefit to having a 5-color space monster with all types of abilities is you just throw more abilities on there. We're going to confuse our opponents to death and have basically every keyword and everything you can imagine. I'm a fan of these, though, especially because with Chromat, you can play it as a weird Voltron almost because you can give it so many cool abilities. And these really do take kind of full advantage in a game mechanic on top of all the flavor.
Yeah, and last one we can talk about maybe is Karmic Justice. Because, I mean, we got to reference justice somewhere in here, right?
This might, just as much as indestructibility is just too perfect and simplistic to not. This is just so perfect. Yeah, I think any Superman deck does need a Karmic Justice in there. And we're going to be trying to get that justice all game with our big alien monster. The next, we're going to go ahead and take a jump to the artifacts and take a look at what these artifacts are going to bring to the story in the deck. obviously we're going to have some ramp in here. I don't think we need to worry about story purposes that we have to ramp somewhere. I think this is a good place to do it.
Yeah, I think maybe we can skip some of the ramps. Some of the ramps didn't really work as far as flavor wise, but because we're doing a 5-color deck, of course you got to have all of your ramp that really caters to that. So of course you have your arcane signets, you have some of your other signets as well to help give dual colors. But one of the artifacts that I want to bring forward is Door to Nothingness. Now, this is a win con, but it is also still flavorful. Other than just, of course, you pay that Wooburg twice, sacrifice it, and target player loses the game. Now, that's devastating. But if we're also talking about flavor, I know you've heard of the Phantom Zone before, Derek, right?
The Phantom Zone.
The Phantom Zone.
I have not heard of the Phantom Zone. Spoiler alert, I am not as knowledgeable about superheroes as Set and Ken are, so I'm kind of the newbie on the block when it comes to this, so I'm learning. Talk about the Phantom Zone and tell me what this is about.
All right, so within DC lore, the Phantom Zone is basically an extra-dimensional jail that you send the worst of the worst. So it's basically where you go to exile people.
So that's where all the Stacks players go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
okay, that's where they hang out.
So yeah, if you're able to pull that off, send them to nothingness. Send the Stacks player to the Phantom Zone.
That is wonderful. You tug on Superman's cape and you just get sent to the Phantom Zone. It is too perfect. Too perfect. And then speaking of perfect, there's one more artifact that this does jump out to me. And it's again just too perfect flavor-wise, the Sword of Truth and Justice. Yeah. Not that Superman needs a sword, but if he did need one, this is the one he would use.
Yeah, he doesn't use a sword, but truth and justice in the American way, that was Superman model when he first came out. So there's a sword for him, specifically for him, if he was to ever have to use a sword.
He's got to get resourceful. EDH is a cutthroat game. He needs to start pulling out all the stops to be able to stay on top. All right, now we are going to jump over to the sorceries and see what kind of spicy cards we got here to just add to Superman's arsenal for us.
So first, Superman gets his power from where? I know you know this one.
Superman gets his power from the sun, right?
That's right. So that means that we have to...
Bam! I know things. Not much, but I do know things.
So that means we need to channel the sun, all right? So that's why we have the sorcery, Channel the Suns, where basically it gives you Wooburg. You pay 4 into it, and you get Wooburg. That's exactly enough.
Ultimate manifesting.
That's exactly enough to cast our commander and also pull off a couple of his abilities if we need it.
That is wonderful, especially in a 5-color deck with how annoying, and we'll get into the mana base in a second, but how annoying it is to get the right colors in a 5-color deck. It's just great to only need a green to be able to fix yourself like that. In addition to all that flavor, this is one of my favorite cards. I'm a big fan of that card.
Yeah, and then we also have Red Sun Zenith. Now, I know you probably don't know this one, but, okay, so Superman doesn't always have his powers. He does lose his powers, or he's normal under a red sun. So that's why we had the Red Sun Zenith in here.
Oh, and it's so perfect because it gets exiled due to it too. It's like, oh wow. That is a massive flavor win. That is ridiculous. I love Red Sun Zenith as a card. I love red. I really like the color red in Magic. So
yeah,
any chance we have to do the most red thing possible, which is just throw fire or a red sun at someone's face, I'm gonna enjoy that. That's what I like to do in Magic.
So one of Superman's abilities, we can kind of touch on this right now, but one of his abilities is Super Breath. So we gotta have Winds of Wrath. Destroy all creatures that are not enchanted. They cannot be regenerated.
Wait, are we just talking about... So Superman's just got some stank breath. That's basically what we're saying. He's got that morning breath 24 hours a day. Anybody comes near him, they turn into those little skeletons into Winds of Wrath.
Or he just blows them away.
Or that. Somebody just needs to get him some breath mints. That's all. It's a sign. But I'm sorry, not to get us off track. Talk about what Winds of Wrath brings to the deck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so basically, 3 and 2 white. But I think the kicker on this one is that destroy all creatures that are not enchanted. So we know that our Superman is definitely going to be enchanted with all those Lower Wind auras. So yeah, he protects himself with the Super Breath.
That is amazing. And they can't be regenerated. It's so funny how meaningless that seems to be on a card until it comes up.
Yeah.
There are so many cards that sneakily throw in Regenerate as someone who plays Titania all the time with Regenerate effects in it. It's huge. That is a really underrated ability, and it's only one more mana than a Wrath of God. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it as well.
Exactly.
We're just gonna call that card Stank Breath, though. If there's a way to rename it on Tapped Out, we're gonna go ahead and fix it. All right, so moving on, because I don't want to make Superman mad. I'm gonna stop talking about his breath. Let's move over to the instants and see how we can react with our opponents at instant speed in this deck.
So this is where a lot of the flavor comes in when we talk about Superman's abilities, because they just basically printed the cards in instant form for us. We have Frost Breath in addition to the Super Breath. He can also freeze you in place with his breath. So Frost Breath is a card.
Yeah, just throwing the exact power onto a card seems pretty convenient for us. Also, having a card like Heroic Intervention in there, like it can't get any more fitting than that. Like it makes him impenetrable. It has the word heroic. The instants are very, very much on play with me.
Yeah, we also have Burn Away. So Superman also has the Heat Vision, so he can burn away anything that he needs to. Rarely does he burn away his enemies, but you could do it within a game of Magic the Gathering.
Burn Away just needs to be played more in general, which I think is just such a powerful effect because Graveyard Hate is so just underplayed in general. To be able to get rid of a creature, because 6 damage is going to kill most things, exile it, and then get rid of a whole graveyard at instant speed for 5 mana. Yeah, that card just needs to be thrown in more decks because it's not the most mana efficient, but that is a huge effect. Now, with heroes, we were talking about superheroes and everything, there has to be some planeswalkers in the deck. You can't have a hero-themed deck without a few of Magic's own heroes. So which planeswalkers did you think best fit Superman?
Yep. So without making this a Super Friends deck, because, that's where the name comes from. Superpower beings who get together, and then our planeswalkers are the super friends of the Magic the Gathering world. So, but I wanted to specifically focus on a Johnny, mentor of heroes. Superman is a mentor within himself. He was one of the first superheroes to come around, and so a lot of people draw their inspiration from Superman, and he's a mentor to other heroes. But let's also look at the abilities on a Johnny, mentor of heroes. That +1 where he's able to look at the top 4 cards and basically you can siphon through an aura, you can go find a creature or a planeswalker card and then put it into your hand. So Johnny's gonna find some of the cards that we're looking for within this deck for us.
Yeah, anytime you can get card advantage on a plus ability on a planeswalker, you probably want to think about running that planeswalker. Because getting plus abilities like that. And hey, if everyone ignores you and your playgroup has the worst threat assessment ever, you can also gain 100 life if they just let this sit around forever. So that's not a bad random thing that can happen if nobody decides to attack you.
That's right. Another planeswalker that I wanted to kind of focus on, throw in here, is Tamiyo Field Researcher. So this is the lowest lane of the deck. So Lois Lane is a journalist who hits the pavement. She's out there in those streets. So we had to have a field researcher out here. So Tamiyo also helps us draw cards and also can tap down some other non-land permanents that our opponents have. So it's utility and also a little bit of flavor. Yeah,
and those tap down effects I think are also criminally underplayed in Commander because that whole tap and basically the frost effects where something will tap and then doesn't untap. Yeah. That's a long time in Commander. That's basically like just exile because 2 rounds of the table that's like 2 hours of a Commander game. So yeah, I think Tamiyo in general that the tap down effect is really powerful and the flavor win is a plus on that too.
Yeah, you essentially lose a turn.
Yeah. I've had it happen to me a few times, and when it happens, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal, and then I never see that card again. I die before it comes back. So yeah, it's good. So now getting into the part that is the boogeyman of almost any 5-color deck, and that is the mana base and how expensive 5-color mana bases can be. But we were given a gift in the last few months in the Triomes, and the Triomes are amazing. They're going to give us the ability to get access to our colors with any Khans fetches you can get access to. Zendikar fetches are hopeless. Those things are way too expensive. But Khans fetches can be decent. And if we just put some Khans fetches with Triomes and basics, that's going to get us access to the fixing that we need. But said, I know you are not interested in fixing. You are interested in fixing the flavor. And how are we bringing the flavor to this deck?
That's right. Your lands tap and they're accurate and they're doing what they're supposed to. I love it. I don't really care about mana bases. I care about the flavor. So let's talk about the place where Superman likes to plot things out, likes to lay his head sometimes. Sometimes he needs a place to get away. A little place of solitude, a fortress of solitude, if you will. So that's why we have Glacial Fortress within the deck. So I think that really brings that theme out.
I like it. That's basically what I call my apartment for the last 5 months. I've lost track of the Fortress of Solitude. Just sitting here alone in this cold world. But yes, that is an amazing way to relate to the canon of Superman. Now, what else is in here? Because I know there's some other lands you got in here that are also kind of alluding to the similar things with Superman.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool that we have a lot of enchantments in here, some of the Lorwyn or enchantments. They ever go to our graveyard, we can get them back with the Hall of Helios Generosity. So you might be wondering, how does this link to the flavor of Superman? Back in Super Friends, we had the Hall of Justice. So I think that these things parallel very close with one another.
I like it. Not to mention, I like that card in general. I remember when that card came out, it was one of my picks for eventually going to be way too expensive to get. So it's not quite there yet, but I expect it's going to at some point. It's a really strong card.
Okay, so the last land that I want to talk about is Reliquary Tower, the one that says that you have no maximum hand size. So if we're going to relate this to the lore, relate this to the canon of Superman, we got to talk about Watchtower. This was the place. It's a little different than the picture, but Watchtower was up in the sky. But this one, Watchtower, is coming out of the land. But it was a place where the superheroes met and were able to assemble. So this is our representation of the tower.
I like it. And yeah, it's also a pretty functional card. Like you said, some people might say it's overrated, but it's still decent. There's never a time where I put Reliquary Tower in a deck and I'm mad about it. It's an extra land, an effect on a land you can't really be too mad about.
Yeah.
But that is basically going to be our Superman deck. And I really hope that for any Superman fans out there, that y'all appreciated how deep for some of these cards it feels like said that you dug to get the flavor into this deck.
Yeah, so this was pretty fun. And some people might be wondering why we're doing this, but there is actually a challenge created by Dragon Shield. Every month, they basically have some Dragon Shield sleeves that they're going to be giving away every month. And for the person who creates the best either flavor or theme and also functional EDH deck, you're going to get some goodies from if they see your deck. You can Google this and find it on Tapped Out. It's a little hard to find, but I promise you it's still there. Figure out what this current month's theme is. I think that Aquaman has already passed. Superman just recently passed, so I think what's left are Batman and Wonder Woman. So look forward to those from us as well.
Hey, we will get to brewing on those. That's really cool. Yeah, it's definitely do a search. I had just heard of it recently myself, and it's a really cool. Anytime you're trying to incentivize flavorful deck building, I'm a huge fan of that. I think it's a really cool contest. So definitely check ours out. Check out the other decks. I feel like there's going to be a lot of cool brews thrown in there. So that is going to do it for the deck tech. I really hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you want any of these cards, or if you got inspiration for your own superhero deck and want to pick up some cards, head on over to TCG Player. TCG Player is phenomenal. You'll find any random obscure cards you could ever think of on there, and then some. And anything you get through the link below will help support the channel and help us get out more and better content. We always appreciate the help. And speaking of being appreciative, we absolutely love all our patrons out there as well. We really do love and appreciate y'all. And that's going to do it. We have so many things coming, way too much. Our set is being worked to death. So we have a lot of stuff coming out. But until then, we will see y'all next time.